In 1922, WOK, Arkansas's first radio station, broadcast from Pine Bluff.
The first radio station to go on the air in Arkansas was actually created by the guy who founded what later became Arkansas Power and Light. Harvey Couch was his name. Harvey Couch first did a demonstration in Pine Bluff for a Rotary group, and he set up a broadcasting antenna outside of his home. The Rotary group in a meeting room there at the Hotel Pines were listening, and they were kind of dumbfounded. They were amazed, and immediately people thought, this is great. We ought to put a radio station on the air. And by 1922, he did. The first broadcast consisted of an orchestra there in Pine Bluff.
As early as 1925, Fayetteville, Hot Springs, Fort Smith, and Little Rock had radio stations. More would follow. KBTM in Paragould moved to Jonesboro and hosted many genres of music, as well as developing a barn dance program. Blytheville radio station KLCN was where Johnny Cash first performed on air. KFFA in Helena began the hugely influential King Biscuit Time. And KTHS in Hot Springs launched comedy duo Lum and Abner in 1931. It was quickly picked up nationally by NBC.
Dad got me, I was a little guy, about 6, 7-year-old, I guess, 8. He put me up on his shoulders. That's the way he'd carry me up, straddle his neck and carry my leg down, and carried me down to Mr. Ramsey's store. Well, when we went in there, there's some other men, Dad, neighbor acquaintances, and he set me on some feed sacks. Mr. Ramsey kept his feed sacks that he sold for the grain and whatever. So after a while, he turned that radio on, and it began making those strange sounds, whistling sounds and all that. And after a while, he got it focused in. The Jot 'em Down store, Lum and Abner. The men would sit around, listen to that radio, and laugh and slap their legs. You know, they're really enjoying it.
Yeah, shoot it.
Oh, I ain't got nothing to shoot with.
Here's a rock. Shoot it.
Oh, I don't know much about working these things. How do you do it?
Just pull it back and let it go.
Like that, huh?
Yeah.
Are you hurt, Tom? I don't think so, Abner.
That was my first listening of a radio. So the radios, when they came in, was another link to the outside world that we could experience, you know.
Radio helped connect people in a way that before then wasn't possible. People got a lot of their information before then by newspapers, sometimes people arriving by train. Information traveled really slowly. Radio, becoming a mass medium, really connected these rural people who could buy a radio and tune in to signals from all over the country.
It was interesting, Dad, after he became real interested in radio, and I can remember his telling my mother, said, we're going to get us a radio. She said, well, will it? That costs money. He said, I know, but we'll get it.
For families in rural areas, especially if they were poorer farmers, it was quite an investment to buy a radio.
Well, he did. He managed someone, got him a Philco radio. Big battery, about 16 inches long. That battery cost you $6. That battery might last you 2 or 3 months or longer, maybe. When the volume started getting weaker, you knew your battery was going down. And if you had a particular program that you wanted to listen to and couldn't hear it very well, just before it come on, you'd run out there with a gallon of water and pour it around the ground post. There's a ground post drove in the ground outside, the wire from it to the radio, so you'd pour it around that ground post and the volume would come up for a while. Good ground. When that water became ineffective, then you knew it was time to come up with $6 somewhere or another and go out to Uncle Jim Linville, who was the man that supplied batteries at Fox, and get you a battery. So that was the early radio days, you know. And everyone didn't have a radio. And on Saturday night when the Grand Ole Opry was coming on, we'd have neighbors, a lot of neighbors would come over and they'd listen to the Grand Ole Opry.
The burgeoning medium of radio provided opportunities to reach a wider audience and for Arkansas musicians to perform. Key Arkansas radio stations exposed listeners to new sounds and important Arkansas artists.
Up until that time, musicians, the only time they had an audience was when they were actually out performing somewhere. So radio was really magical in that sense, in that people sitting in their home could hear a live performance. And that was the beginning of a whole different era for music.